Hey everyone, this is Jechta Place. This is another video about lightning. And I really want to do a second video because lightning is so important. Lightning is basically your after effects, your final touch, your polishment in your creation. Lightning is very, very important to have in your dreams. And the reason why is because light basically set up the mood. Like in the first video, I showed like in the video here before, I showed how to do like daytime lighting, how to set up your settings and everything, like play around with that. But now I really want to go to show you what you can do with nighttime. And nighttime is almost the same approach as daytime. I'm not going to fully into the details again that I did in the first video. If you don't know how to do things, check out the first video first, and then come back to this one because I'm not going to do it everything again in the same approach. So, and also don't want to like talk 45 minutes again. So check out the first video to see how everything is set up as settings, and check this video then later after um, to see the more in-depth to make nighttime. Now, like I said, lighting is very important in dreams, or basically in your game in general, or in your movie animation. Lighting is a lot um, more important than you actually think it is. Like music, sound, yes, it's important, but lighting sets the mood. Music can set the mood, but lighting sets the mood. And I'll show you an example of how to do nighttime. So I made here a scene for um, my upcoming, maybe my upcoming game. It's called Message, and it's a short 1 minute teaser um, happening in nighttime. Let's check it out. So as you can see, there is still light coming from the right side, but this time the light is not like bright or anything. It has a blue color. And the reason why I will tell you uh, once we're going into this scene. So basically, I want to give the whole area like it's the feeling that it's placing in nighttime. Um, so the whole area is basically a little bit blue color tinting over it. Um, Often, like in video games or in movies, you're using blue. I think it's like a luminous lightning. I'm not sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. But that particular lighting is very often used in movies or in games, in video games. And why is that? That is because of you still need to play a game. If you want to have like an actually realistic nighttime, you can maybe do that with horror games. Like if you want to make horror games, you can do that. But it but then it really depends on the visibility you want to give the character. But if you want to make like an adventure game or or any other like game or movie that the player still need to see what's going on and but still give the feeling that it's all happening in nighttime. The reason why we making like the environment blue or sometimes green. There are also um, some games that using green instead of blue. But the reason why that is because to give the feeling that it's nighttime, but also still be able to see what and where we are going. Right? That is the most reason why we're doing that. And blue is mostly because of I don't really know the specific reason why it's the blue and not red, for example. but obviously it's not red because like red doesn't really represent like nighttime. So I don't think like another other like way to say like blue is a very common way and a common thing to do to get a nighttime feeling. Now let's go back in, but this time I'm going to go in edit mode so you can see how I made that setting. So let's go into edit mode. So now you get to see a little bit behind the scenes of this creation. Um, so if you look at in this particular area, you can see that there is like still light going to like this room, this bedroom in this case, and like light goes through this here, and it reflects on the bed, and then the last part, the last bit of the reflection is on the cabinet, on the closet or whatever you want to call it, and a little bit on the pots and on the broken things in the floor as well. And why I choose this is because I thought it was way better um, for like giving a nighttime feeling. Um, but you can also use this. Of course, I will show you where what I did. But if you saw the first video that you already know, I of course use spotlights. I have here two spotlights. They are connected to each other. The other one is doing the same in the back street here a little bit. This is like the back street, and like it's not too much. Like I don't want to make it obvious that it's also very bright because I really want to make the player the feeling that like I'm really working on focus points. So what I do is I still want to give the player the feeling there's something behind here. There's actually still maybe, yeah, use your imagination. It could be another street. It could be maybe a plaza. It could be maybe I don't know, a park or anything. Just give your a little bit of imagination, but I don't want to give that as a focus point. The focus point is of course the scrolls. So that's where the message is going to read on. So all the focus, all the lights, all the reflections going through this object, because this is my focus point. So if you're playing the scene, you see that the light is going through the cabinet. So it like it the all the points directing to that middle point. And of course you can look also to the back because it's also very important one for my game, by the way, spoiler alert. But like this is like all the direction I want the viewer to look at. So is lighting important? Yes, it is, because you can use lighting to make a certain area as your focus point. A lot of video games doing this. A lot of video games using lighting very cleverly to have a certain focus point. So if you want to show something in your creation, you want to make sure that the lightning is going in a certain direction to lit up something. And it doesn't always have to be make sense. Like a lot of people always like um want to do something in dreams that makes sense, right? Because they want to make it as realistic as possible. But the thing is, with doing that, it doesn't make sense in a video game because like you still want to make a player make choices that or the developer has chosen, or you want to play as to figuring out things themselves, but giving still sneak hints here and there in the level design with certain lightning, so you're getting triggered to go there. But the lightning is always a very big role in how to get a certain focus point or to direct an player. Now, in this, it's not a game. This is a teaser trailer, basically, for 1 minute. And in this teaser trailer, I'm trying to tell something. I'm not going to say what. That is all for you to yeah to guess and everything. But like I'm going on the focus point on this scroll saying message. And so what I did is I used the lightning just like that is going on this cabinet. So if you want to use something like this for your creation, you want to direct a player or someone who watching your animation or anything, make sure that your lighting always directs the way you want to have the player is looking at. So, and you can play around with it. You don't have to do it obvious. You don't have to place like like a spotlight and like that, like right now. Like if you do like here, there is something going on, right? That's too obvious. That's very too obvious to do that. It is a thing you can do. Like there's like still video games doing this. They're doing a little bit more less obvious. They're doing it maybe like this. So they're still showing like if you have like a big room, everything is dark except for one point, and so the player goes automatically to this area. They're like, hey, what is here? And then I'm like, oh, hey, message. So it really depends on what kind of like creation you're going for. But light, directing a light on a certain object or a certain position in your scene is very important. It only matters how you're going to approach this. So this for me was not the reason to do that. Because I wanted to make a nighttime scene. I could go for again for a morning scene or a day scene. I did that in the first try, but I was like, no, I don't like it. I don't like to have a daytime scene again. I want to have a nighttime scene because like nighttime is also maybe could be a little bit like a key point for my upcoming game. So I used nighttime lightning, and in this case blue. And the lamps here, the spotlights, have that. Let me open the settings. So what I did is I changed here the color instead of like using the default one. The default one is this. So you get like the default would be daytime basically. So this is like daytime situation. But if you want to go for nighttime, I use blue. And but you can also use green. You can also do this, or maybe a little bit slider to the blue. It really depends on like yeah, it really depends on technique. There's not really like saying like you should use blue or green only. That is like finding the best like looking nighttime-ish situation for yourself. So yeah, I used more of like blue, but you can also I can also change that to I don't know, maybe to a little bit darker, even though this doesn't really look like nighttime anymore. So yeah, the reason why I use blue is because of this is the only way for me to show the viewer it's nighttime. Um, so very importantly, but we are not done, of course. We also have our diffuse lights. Now, the diffuse lights, I don't use like the default, but I'm also slightly using blue. Not too much. I'm using light bluish. So, because like it still bounce, like light comes from the moonlight basically. So the moonlight comes through the window and it bounces a little bit softly on the rest of the area. So if I remove this, you can see that becomes very dark. I could use something like this as well to give a little bit more darker feeling. Like this is like an actually like nighttime feeling. The reason why I've used the diffuse lights is because I want to. I wish I can show you. Like if I'm not using diffuse light, it will look something like this, right? And I would still could go for that. I mean, I don't hate it. I actually like it as well. But I really want that my focus point was the Carabinier, like the I hope I say that right, but like the closet thing. So, and for me personally, that whole focus point goes away with this because there's not really lightning bounce on this object, and also like this writing is very dark. You don't really see the scrolls lying anymore. Is this more realistic? This is a little bit more to the realistic side than actually like a practical thing. So the reason why I've used like diffuse light in the surroundings is more for practical reasons than instead of like real life reasons. And also to give the person a specific focus point to keep the person interesting or for what is happening, since the camera is only in one position, and but he's only zooming in. There's nothing else going on in the whole scene. He's only slowly, the camera's only slowly zooming in. So to keep someone like triggered or very like intrigued, like okay, what's happening? What are we going? And to do that, I need to have all the light going in this area. So that's why I have used the fuse light. And we're still having the feeling it's still in the nighttime. Maybe I could use the diffuse light a little bit slightly darker still. I could have go for that approach. But I think that the amount of like um of the whole area, I think for me in this case is the best I could do. Um Probably there's like tastes is something that is different from everyone. If you don't like this approach, yeah, you're probably going to let me know in the comments. But for me, this is the approach that I always go for. Focus point, light goes through there to an object that I want to show eventually. That is for me the most important thing to do. But if you're more of a person to do this, I would I would just say sure, go ahead. But this is more what you can do for only like um, a still image. So not really having a focus point at all. Like now more of the focus point is the bed. Like the only focus point is the bed right now. So if I have here like like a camera going on, um, like if we place a camera and if we disable this one and if we place this in a certain direction like this, we can give it some bars, maybe that, and do some aperture. Maybe I don't know. Let's see how that looks. Uh, Maybe something like this. Oh, play mode. I mean, this could be a vibe that you could set up for your creation, right? But this only like it really depends on what do you want to show the viewer. Like if I would have go for this direction, what is the first thing you see? Or maybe two things you see first. The first thing you see the bat, right? That is because like light is bouncing on the bat. So my whole point is going away by showing the bat as a vista point, even though the bat is not in the center of the camera. The bat is actually off center, like it's in the right part of the camera point. But still, the bat is the first thing you see, and that is because of the lights, like reflecting the light on the bat. So, so yeah, so that is going to be our new focus point. And maybe you still see like some light going on, like on the desk. Maybe that's something you still focus. But that's maybe the second thing you're seeing. Like the very first, if you open your scene, the very first focus point is the bat. And then after you're going to see like, okay, hey, there's a light going on in the back, and I see some like what is that, books, or and there's some lights above the bat as well, and so you're going to see more details eventually. But the thing is with this was not the message that I was going for. So my whole idea was get the focus point of the Carbonet and the scrolls instead of the bed. The bed is a side thing. That was not the main focus point. The Carbonet was the focus point. And that's why I have used the overall lightning a little bit still to get enough view eventually and still have the feeling that you are in nighttime. Now I could still maybe say like, hey, I want to do let's go back a little bit. Like what I can maybe also say is that let me connect these two things. There. So what I also could go for is still use light, but not so much. So let's say 12%. And if we're going to rewind. So we still have now slightly a little bit better lighting in our environment. I could have still go for this, by the way. I'm 100% agreeing with everyone saying like, hey, that looks way better. But the focus point of the Carbonier is gone. And this was like an intern decision of myself. Like, should I go for like more of a realistic and not having the focus point on the Carbonier and the scrolls and the message, or should I do a little bit slight more like lightning and maybe I could tweak it still here and there. I mean, it's always like things that will happen eventually anyway. But still, like, it didn't really give me the feel that I was like having the focus point on this one. So that is why I've used for what it is. We can of course like put it enough, like 35 could be as well. Let's see how that looks. I mean, looks not bad, I think. We still have the focus point of the Carbonier. We still see what's going on in the environment. We still see the bat. We still see the lights. We still see the lamps on the above the bat. We still see the books and the scroll. So, and I think maybe it was already a setting that I had. I don't know. Maybe a little bit lighter. But this could still work, even though the scrolls are maybe too dark. I don't know. Like I think the scrolls are a little bit too dark. But this could be this could be a setting that I could have go for. Um, but what was my original setting? Let me go back a little bit. Oh, just 50. Like 50 was my original focus point setting. The standard basically in Dreams, but I could have probably go for 35 or 40. Um, oh, um, having a little bit darker is okay. I could have go for this if I have to be honest. But like, and this is why it's so important to have lightning in your scene. Now, before I'm going to close this video, I really want to show you something else that we also used, and that is, of course, the great effects. Now, in the first video, my contrast was like 20%, right? Like 20%. And here I only have it 7%. And why is that if I put it on 20%? I think you quite know the reason why. It's because like nighttime doesn't need to have pitch black in the contrast. Like it's it needs the opposite basically. Like probably in my game, I need to have an option for people to use this if people don't like that much of darkness. Some people doing that. I don't like it, but giving this option for people is maybe like yeah, we need that maybe. But like 7% for me was the right amount of like the contrast between light and dark. So 7% more than enough. Brightness we don't need that to play around with. And here I have here some settings. Now I could have go for, and that is something I, to be honest, a little bit forget to change. But to get a little bit more dark time feeling, I should have turned this to blue as well, because we need that reflection. And to be honest, I forgot about that. But that's like the environment basically now doesn't have like anything like lit up or anything. So I think I will just like go back into the edit mode and do that, fix that part. But it's just for me like to show basically how important light can be. Um, like, see the difference between this already. See the difference between this setting. I could also just like leave it like this. And I think maybe this is better. Do you guys agree? I think this is better because now we don't really give the player the feeling that there is a spotlight, like sorry, a room light going on in the distance. So yeah, that's something I could still have changed. Now, I want to know if the focus point is still the Carminier, but does the text also look good? Also very important. The message, since that is the important thing to have. I think that looks also still nice. Now there is something what we can do a little bit, and I mean we can change this scene right at the moment. I mean like why not, right? As we speak, you're going to witness the way how I create. So let's put this in blue as well. And oh, I don't think. No, sorry, we don't need this in blue. That doesn't make any sense. Okay, so I mean we have like light going on from this thing, but to be completely fair and honest, I kind of want to have this. So there's still a little bit like lighting and bounce from the lamp on the wall behind, and of course on the cabinet on the desk itself. Maybe you can set it a little bit lower so it actually hits also the ground a little bit. So in this scene, uh, could maybe go for this. So our focus point is still like the Carbinet, the desk, and everything with the message, and without like losing a lot of like. I could have go for this if I have to be completely honest. So the point is lightning important? Yes, lightning is very important. And even while I was doing this and already saw a few mistakes here and there myself that I should have go for, um, it says a lot like how important light can be and is in your creation. Like if you're not playing around with your lighting or when you're setting, your whole environment will look very bland. And like if I would like remove like all the light settings and everything, let's keep the sun still. If I remove this, like everything like you lose is that actually like immersive and powerful um surrounding. And yes, of course, this is a matter of like taste and but this could be still like yeah improved. And if we also removing of course like the normal lamps, so if we sorry not the more the spotlights, it looks like this. And you can see that we have here slightly sun reflection. That's because of this one here. as this one, but it's not so immersive anymore as what we had before, right? This is not like how lighting is immersive. And yes, you could like use this still and that it looks okay. If you're using like certain techniques with your assets, you can of course like fake other things still or get away with certain techniques. But for me, lighting is so important to have in your creation, in your dreams, because like it tells so much more about the mood and the setting and where you're going to direct with your game or animation or stuff like that. So if I bring everything back, it's a lot more immersive. So like it's a lot more powerful. And also you can see that maybe here the bed it looks so bright. Before I'm going to close this video, I'm almost like 45 minutes again. That was not what I want. Half hour in the video to get like a little bit more of like bright looking effects. I've used a little bit of bloom effects, but don't use bloom effect in video games. But um, like if you like, I would say like use the default or actually just like don't use it at all. But I use it quite high for this particular reason for the cinematic. Also, the lens flare is something you can go for. I quite used a lot. Grain effect, if you want to go for animation, if you want to go for this is taste stuff. Like if you don't like this, I can understand. But um, I like really to use sometimes grain effect over if it's an animation or if it's a movie. I use grain. Not too much. I don't want to like do it like this unless you're going for a horror movie-ish thing. But I kind of want to like between 0 and 10 for the right amount of like stuff. And here I didn't touch anything. So yeah, that's how I get. And the vignettes track is also something you can use a little bit or like um, get a certain focus point as well. Like default is 10%, but I used 33 to get a little bit more like a focus in the center instead of the player is seeing things in the yeah more in the around anything. So that's why I used a little bit higher vignette. But yeah, that's it. Half hour, a little bit over half hour in the second video. I hope you learned a little bit more about the nighttime kind of looking in the scene. Play around with the settings. I hope this is something you can use for your own creation. If so, yeah, please let me know if it was useful or not. But again, like I said, lightning is important and it will make or break your whole scene altogether. So use lightning. Bye bye.